I will not say my name, but I will give you clues and tips to make you understand who I am. First of all, let me introduce myself to you as a genius, because I'm eclectic, and in my life I've dealt with great abilities. The different sciences as the engineering, mathematics, anatomy, architecture, literature, botany, design, sculpture, and painting. I'm equipped with an IQ well above the average, and this perhaps has eased my way. I'm Italian. I was born in a small town near Florence toward the half of 14th century. Once born, I have been called illegitimate because I was born out of a marriage. From my mother, no one has definite news. There are those who say that she was a servant, who say she was a peasant woman, who was also a slave. I like to be called a man without letters, which means without an education that has followed classical studies. However, even though I never studied Greek and Latin, from nature observation and experience, I've had a brilliant insights of the field of art, science and technology, in addition to have been able to create works that still leave the viewer speechless. I've been interested in urban planning. I built war machines, hydraulic, mechanical. I studied anatomy, blood circulation, and movement of the eyes. I've observed the flight of birds, experiencing theories to make the man able to fly. I also devoted to the study of what we now call submarines. I have therefore been the forerunner of many of the inventions that were then refined by others, centuries after me. In my life, I have traveled a lot, always for my time. I was in Florence, Milan, Rome, Venice, Mantua, and also in France. I've also been very appreciated and helped by my patron's friends, such as Lorenzo the Magnificent, Ludovico il Moro, Cesare Borgia, and the King of France, who have allowed me to live like a prince. I'm a particular man. I stand for a writing called mirrored that goes from left to right, and if you want to read well what I write, you have to use a mirror. While I don't like to eat meat and fish, I love animals I buy in the markets to give them their freedom, and I think that it will arrive the time where no man will have to kill to eat, and even the killing of one animal will be considered a serious crime. I'm also a prankster, and I like to make jokes to friends. Once, for example, to scare a friend who had come to visit me, I made a small lizard out of a box, with wings, horns, and beard. I feel like a religious man, although it said the opposite of me because I work on Sundays. I think that painting is the grandchild of nature and therefore kinsman of God. I've been called the archetype of the Renaissance man, the most talented person who ever lived, with a curiosity and inexhaustible imagination. I studied science in an attempt to improve my artworks. My study of the nature and anatomy have been used in my paintings to make them incredibly realistic, and my dissection of the human body have opened the way for remarkably accurate figures. I was the fourth artist to study the physical proportions of men, women, and children, and to use these studies to create the human figure ideal. But I also used a novel technique based on the chiaroscuro. I made a scientific study of light and shadow in nature, and I realized that the objects are not composed of lines, but they are actually three dimensional bodies defined by light and shadow. My geniality has also allowed to challenge and overcome the obtuseness of the methods of study previously adopted. My method of study is based on observation and description of what surrounds me, and this is a real revolution adopted by scholars even after me. I've been often accused of being slow in the execution of my works and to be also a sodomite. But here I can finally tell you that I painted the most beautiful smile in recorded history. I gave life to the woman by the mysterious charm. All this in a small painting, now housed in the Louvre in Paris. In conclusion, my legacy can be summed up in three emblematic paintings: La Gioconda, Il Cenacolo e l'Uomo Vitruviano. Yes, it's me, Leonardo da Vinci, the man who lived thinking that only love can conquer hate. Ciao!